Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the FANMEN podcast. My name's DJ Gove.
Chris Davis.
Sean Hogarty.
How's it going, guys?
It's good.
Going well.
Good. So, we're recording this after Batman Day.
After Batman Day.
Yep. So, everyone have a good Batman Day?
Did I see you on Batman Day, Chris? I know I didn't see you.
No.
No, I don't think I bumped into you.
Yeah. My Batman Day was less Batman-y than normal. I went to the local comic book shop, picked up my books, didn't buy anything extra special, but made my appearance. I realized that actually was 4th anniversary or 5th anniversary of me first going to that store.
They've been open.
This was their 5th Batman
This was their
Day.
5th Batman.
So that's 4 years.
So it would have been the 4th anniversary.
Yep.
Oh, cool. So that's how you just bought the current books?
I just bought the current books.
Nothing fancy.
But yeah, that is my local store because of Chris. He told me about it and made me meet him there on Batman Day 4 years ago. Yeah.
For me, we're talking about the Hall Comics on Route 9 in Southport, Massachusetts.
Exactly.
It's like my secondary store. I mean, the guys up there are great. They got a nice little store, but because where I live, far away from it, I have another store that I've been going to since I was like 8 years old. So,
what store is that?
That's Entertainment on Worcester, Massachusetts.
And I haven't been to That's Entertainment.
That's
so
Entertainment.
At some point,
Culture
yeah,
Emporium.
I know. It's I've been to most of the others around, but for some reason I've never gone that direction. So
Plan to spend half a day.
yeah,
You'll
I will.
dig through back issues. For
Oh, they got back
hours
issues like you
and
wouldn't.
hours.
Their back issue section is bigger than the Hall Comics.
That's
much.
Yeah.
It's a much bigger spot.
Much bigger,
Yeah.
5-6 times the
Huge
size.
footprint. Have you gone to the Fitchburg one?
I have.
I like that
wait.
one better than Worcester.
wait. They have 2 locations.
Yep,
What's
they have a
their-
Fitchburg
do.
one. Yep.
Both of those are outside my normal commute range, but
The Fitchburg one's set up more like the Hall of Comics, a little more organized,
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smaller, but
all right. Well,
okay. So
anyway, Batman
did.
Day, comics, otherwise that was about it.
Yeah, I really didn't do much more than that. I stopped at the Hall for a stretch. I mean, we did buy one thing out of the ordinary, same thing. Had to pick up the comics for the week. Harley fell in love with the Batman and the Outsiders hardcover that they had on the wall. So she's going back to OG. She likes Halo and Katana, and she knew some of those characters, Katana from Suicide Squad. So it's a nice 80s run for her to get started on.
Nice.
So
nice. Yeah, I haven't picked up my books yet this week. So I haven't been down to the store in a while. I just haven't had time, but I did manage to my big get for the last week and a half or so. I got a couple of chase pops I was chasing down. I was able to found the bloody John Wick variant pop,
So,
which is John Wick is the Keanu Reeves movie.
yeah.
So it's just blood splattered on his face, but it's the chase, so it's like a 1 in 30 or whatever it ends up being.
So do the chase figures like have a different UPC or anything, or they're literally
They don't.
it's you have to see it
Same,
and go.
yep, same
okay.
UPC. It's got a chase sticker on the front.
Yeah.
Which Funko Pop's all about the sticker on the front of it, and it's got a different paint job. Or sometimes they go really crazy with like things like that. Oh, actually, no, I found another chase pop too. I was at Best Buy picking up my Spider-Man for PlayStation 4 pre-order, which I also got.
Yep.
I got the collection edition for that. I got the one with the statue. Chris got the whole system, the big red Spider-Man PS4. It's gorgeous. But I was walking by and I saw the guy putting pops on the shelf, and I was like, oh, he put the Wasp out. I'm like, he put all 6 Wasps out. Back corner, boom, Wasp
Cha-ching.
chase, $9. So
nice.
that's all. Yeah, so nothing big, just a couple chase pops. So
Nice.
as we talked about last time, we just came out of Boston Comic Con, and we went to Red Bank, so had to curb the spending too.
Yeah, we're kind of hitting a lull in the schedule here.
Yeah. So it's get ready. I know I got a vacation coming up. You went on vacation recently.
Yep.
Chris has a vacation coming up. Christmas is coming up. So got to behave. It's the not most wonderful time of the year.
Yeah, I'm trying to have ideally a couple of months of far lower than average spending just to deal with the expense of August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going too well for me.
So I take you won't be showing up at the live auction at the Hall?
So that's a good question. The store's been running a live, Facebook video auction, and it looks like a lot of fun. I've popped into the stream a couple times. I do it, a few hours Monday nights. The problem is I don't get home until 6:30 or 7. I don't generally have the energy, but the acceptability of me getting home and then sitting looking at my iPad or going down to my office it's just, so it just doesn't work for me, which I feel bad about. Like if there was a way for them to send me a list of what was going to be in there and I could, put in a bit in advance, I'd be all over it. But as it is, it's probably saving me a lot of money.
They usually send out
most of that savings is coming right out of Chris Davis's pocket.
Exactly. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, he is. He's like, he runs that place like the mob.
Yeah, I missed this week, so I think there's going to be layoffs and
he comes
happening at the hall.
Yeah.
He comes rolling in a fur coat and gold shoes, and he's like, "I'm here to buy your comics, yo."
I'm sure paddle number 1 will be waiting for me when I get there.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I see. Normally I work Monday nights. Usually I'm at work till like 10. So it's hard. So I have to fire the phone up on this, which sucks too, because I know they send the teaser photo out. And when I saw this week's or this past week's, they had a Green Arrow, Green Lantern book, one of the old Neil Adams book, and I saw it and I was like, oh, I want it. I want it so bad, but I didn't get it. But
I look at those. I'm usually only looking for Batman or Detective or
You not doing it has been my saving grace. I've been able to fill in some of the old ones, but it's part of the run that you already have.
Yeah, my run's
so they
strong.
fall into some of the older ones that tail back towards the beginning of your run.
Yeah,
I've been able to cherry pick some of those.
what was they had the second Black Mask Detective Comics this week.
I know what the first Black Mask looks like. I can't remember the issue.
Is it 168 or something like that?
No,
it's too early.
Yeah, it's Detective something or other. I'm a shitty Batman fan.
Well, there's so many books. You can't,
Yeah, but
cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. So we all had a light Batman day and a light week of shopping, so kind of doesn't help for material, but we got plenty of stuff to talk about though. We'll be good. So, of course, big news this week was the Captain Marvel trailer finally dropped.
right.
I think it was last time I checked. I think by the end of the day it had 109 million views on YouTube.
Which is
because Marvel can do no wrong.
That's what they do.
Can do no wrong. People, and prior to the 109 million views, maybe 7 million of them were from people who actually knew the hell Captain Marvel was.
Which is, generally doesn't include me, but I could not help but know the trailer was coming out. I could not help even just seeing the comics. They've done a good job of the logos and costume that are being used in the movie are already. There already been issues out that have that logo treatment, those colors. And so it felt, even as somebody who knows nothing about that character, it felt familiar, the colors, everything about it. And so I was excited. I watched it. I found it interesting looks like an interesting action movie. I love seeing Samuel L. Jackson, all that stuff. But I still don't, I'm going to see it.
Oh, yeah.
But I have no idea what the hell I'm looking at.
Yeah, they've done a real good job, I think, because they plan everything out. So I think, I want to say it's about, I'm trying to think. So when my daughter was younger, like 7 or 8, she used to watch the Marvel Superhero Squad cartoon, which was, if you've never seen that, it's the funniest thing. Like Dr. Doom is like this bumbling idiot, and it's great. It's awesome. And he used to have little toys without the moving parts and stuff. Since when she was small, we used to play with them then. But that was back when she was Mrs. Marvel or Miss Marvel.
Yeah, Ms. Marvel. When
she had the really skimpy, black, swimsuit kind of thing with the gold lightning bolt. And so they knew this movie was coming, and they made the major costume change to the blue and red costume, which is a ballin' costume.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
It looks great.
She looks like ready to rock. So they made that change. I think it was the last Civil War. They made her very prominent. I think she led one of the sides. I didn't read it because anytime Marvel does crossovers now, to me, they're unbearable. I can't read them. They're horrible. That's just me.
That's most of Marvel comics.
I know they're so bad.
So you said something I wanted to ask about, given that I don't know the history of that character. So, and I hadn't thought about this, but the most recent, up front, strong female superheroine movie is of course been Wonder Woman. And one of the characterizing things about Wonder Woman is that costume fundamentally, they've done different treatments of it, but it's still pretty much a bathing suit type costume. It's something that they couldn't play a lot with. Captain Marvel, I don't know anything about her, Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel, her costume in the back. You said there was a black, skimpier one.
Yes, there was.
The fact that maybe the character wasn't well known enough to a broader community, I didn't know that her being in a badass fighting spacesuit that is in no way, some kind of cheesecake outfit, has to be a really great thing, right? You're just seeing a hero that you want to see kick ass, and that seems like a pretty strong play for her to splash onto the scene in this trailer. And you said 109 million. That's
and that was just by the end of the day on Tuesday or whatever it was. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, Wonder Woman, you can't muck with it too much. They kind of, they've taken a lot from Wonder Woman with the costume. It's, you get your primary colors, which works for everything. Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel, Pinocchio, whatever. Yep. You can't go wrong with those. Yeah, Chris is bringing up the old costume. So. And that was even the costume on the Fisher, like the Hasbro Superhero Squad show for like the cartoon for the kids.
Marvel idiot than I am, that makes me think of X-Men or something.
It does.
It's very similar.
Psylocke or with different colors.
Yeah, it's like if Psylocke and Phoenix had just like borrow half of each other's clothes. Yeah. So they did the suit thing. They knew this was coming, so they made the change a while ago. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. The movie looks phenomenal. I mean, I like the time setting. I think it starts at late 80s, goes into early 90s. Yep. First shot, they got the blockbuster. She's wearing the 9 Inch Nails t-shirt. Nick Fury's got both eyes.
Nice. Yeah.
He looks like the negotiator.
Yeah.
But
jeez, you're right.
He does.
He does.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the new negotiator movie.
Yep.
But considering and the other thing is like Captain Marvel, she's kind of a confusing character. Because and I might be wrong because it's way before my time in the books, but the original Captain Marvel was a Kree named Mar-Vell.
Okay.
Because there's another Captain Marvel that's DC called Shazam Captain Marvel, it wasn't even DC when he got created. It was a different comic company, right?
It was a different company when he first came on the scene.
In caveman days. So to distinguish it, it was like, no, he's not another Captain Marvel. His name is Mar-Vell. He's a Kree guy. Mm-hmm. And then you had...
And Kree is the
race Ronan the Accuser.
Right, that's what
got the hammer.
Exactly.
Right. He's actually in this movie. He's not in the trailer, or I might flash him real quick. But in the Entertainment Weekly on the stills, they
show him.
Yeah, and was it? I can never remember.
Pace?
Desmond. Yeah, there's Lee Pace plays Ronan, and then Desmond Haichu, the guy who was from
Jaimin Hunsu. Yeah,
that guy. Yeah. He's he was Ronan's like lackey. He's in this too. He's one of Captain America's crew, Captain Marvel's crew.
A good guy.
Yeah, so basically they're like the Kree army. That's what she is in this. The movie's going to be the Kree versus the Skrulls.
Okay.
So if anyone doesn't know the Skrulls...
And so I only know the Kree from Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that. I didn't read all the...
Yeah, so that's where the Captain Marvel powers come from. They're Kree powers.
Okay.
So they're going to be fighting the Skrulls. If anyone doesn't know, the Skrulls are another alien race in Marvel's vast alien race index. They're shapeshifters.
They show up more in Fantastic Four, don't they?
They were mainly Fantastic Fours because, and I was going to get this, the one thing I'm hoping for the most out of this is one of the baddest ass Marvel villains is the Super Skrull. He's a Skrull who has all 4 Fantastic Four powers. So he can stretch out and have a big rock fist and throw fireballs and turn invisible all at the same time. And now that Disney owns the Fantastic Four, we can have the Super Skrull.
They can do whatever they want.
If you're a statue person and you can get your hands on a Super Skrull statue, they almost never disappoint. They're always gorgeous. Very epic, very intense, good posing. They're awesome.
So even going into Skrull Land, falling short of Super Skrull, they could be laying the path for, a logical link into the Fantastic Four coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I think it was...
Or the Avengers.
Or the Avengers, yeah, because was it the late 90s? They did that in the invasion angle where find out that like Elektra's a Skrull and all these characters are actually just Skrulls in disguise. And
people that you knew for years.
Yeah, it was pretty
were actually invaders.
And not replaced, but literally always were those. That's you guys just spoiled a bunch of shit for the future for me.
It's 30 years old.
Yeah, but I don't know.
We don't have to call spoilers on 30-year-old stuff.
Yeah,
sorry.
True. True. I'll forget. So that's the benefit of being old is I won't remember by the time the movie comes around.
Brace yourself, Cujo.
Just to answer your question from before, DJ, it was actually a company called Fawcett Comics, the original Shazam back in 1940.
FAWCETT?
FAWCETT. Yeah. Correct.
Fawcett Comics and Finding Plumbing Supplies.
Yep.
Yeah, expensive book. But yeah, so it looks like, obviously it looks like they did it again. It's not going to make Black Panther money, but I think they're going to try to capture that Wonder Woman lightning in a bottle.
So I think it'll be Guardians 1 kind of money.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
somewhere in that range.
300 domestic. Yeah, in there.
I don't know, something you said before we started recording that makes me question that is so tell me about what the day of the trailer.
So I'm kind of like I work in IT. We all work in a facet of IT for the most part. So we're in nerdland. But I'm kind of like the nerd. So I'm usually the one who's like, I get stuff the hallway. Hey, yeah, I watched Luke Cage season 2 last night. I'm like, oh, cool. So you'd already watched The Defenders and Jessica Jones? What's that?
Yeah.
No. So I came back from my lunch break. I went to the gym and came back, and I had voicemails from tons of people, and just people stopping by my desk. Hey, that new video's out. Who's that?
Mm-hmm.
What's she?
Tell me everything.
Did she go to Wakanda? Yeah. It's like, so I mean, they're going to get some interest. I mean, Brie Larson, she's a good actress. She won that Oscar for, was it Room? I think it was called.
Yeah,
not
which
not
I've never seen. Not that room.
Not the room, just Room.
Yeah, on my infinite list of must sees.
Yeah. So, and she looks like, if you look how they, I mean, it could be coincidence that they started drawing her like that, but she kind of has the new look too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure that they've
kind of morphed the comics to
they
match
have a
the
little bit.
actors.
They have, which I mean, it is what it is.
When you have an empire and money and time, you do those things.
Yeah.
You do those things.
But it's got, and I like the fact too that the biggest thing I get out of it, and I knew it was going to be a period piece, if you want to call the 90s a period piece, but it's good that they're not
Dude,
like.
You're old.
I know,
90s
I am.
Is, last century.
Oh, man.
Some of us were graduating in the 90s.
I graduated middle school in the 90s.
Bite me.
But the thing I'm most stoked about is that they're not, it doesn't look like they're doing like an origin movie.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to do this big long origin thing, and then all of a sudden they're going to shoehorn her in between Avengers and Ant-Man.
Right.
They can do, they're a decade or plus ahead of this thing, so they can kind of pace it out the right way. And then however she ends up setting up into Infinity War 2, whether it's she's in space and she gets called upon, or it's a time travel thing or something, they can do something whatever they want. But
did I see Agent Coulson?
Yeah.
Right.
Agent Coulson is back.
With like the faux hawk?
Yeah. So having Nick Fury and Coulson in there with the decade plus that they've earned with this backstory, that anchors a more casual cinematic universe only fan. I see those guys, and that's midstream in the universe that I'm kind of aware of. So I'm like, okay, you've anchored it, and I see this as, Coulson's alive, and
that's your hook in.
Yeah, and boom, I'm there.
It's smart.
Yeah.
The other thing too is like, I mean, and obviously, like we just said, the movie's going to make dough. I mean, Wonder Woman, as much as everyone laughs about the DC movies being a wreck, Wonder Woman I thought was phenomenal. That's because I love Wonder Woman, but I thought it was a very
I thought it was good, but I also think it got a bump from being better than its surroundings significantly. The other DC movies.
Yeah, and
I thought it was.
I think it stands. I think
it
as a
stands
standalone,
up okay.
It does well. There's a few beats in that movie that I still like better than just about anything I've seen in the Marvel movies.
Like you just
coming out of No Man's.
Yeah, we were talking.
Oh yeah,
that
coming out of the
shot of her coming out of the trench.
Yeah,
is better than anything I've seen out of any.
Oh yeah,
there's beats in the Marvel movies like that make me feel like a little kid again.
Yeah.
Oh, I can finally see it on screen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I never pictured Wonder Woman in the middle of World War II coming out of the trench.
Yeah.
They gave me something that I didn't know I wanted.
Yep.
And did it beautifully.
That's true. And I mean, even though like I'm a huge DC honk, I was on the fence about it because, I have my live action Wonder Woman. It's Linda Carter from when I was a kid. And I'd only ever seen Gal Gadot in the Fast and the Furious movies, where she's kind of like a side character. But I was like, really? Her?
Yeah, the
really?
casting, yeah.
But then when you see her it's like she's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
Well, they invested in everything around her, and she did a good job.
They did.
With it.
And
yeah.
I mean, it might help too that my daughter's so into Wonder Woman too.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've actually met Gal Gadot. And she's
really?
awesome. Yeah, I mean, we went to a Comic-Con and she was there. And it was expensive. I'm not going to lie. She was there for one day. So we got there... Because I got Athena the VIP, so she got her, she got her Black Series Barbie sign and the whole nine.
Nice.
So we made her the full Wonder Woman thing, head to toe, leather skirt, metal braid, the whole nine. Like I didn't sleep for like 3 weeks getting this thing ready. Like on the flex, they announced like 3 weeks before the thing started. Yeah. But I just remember like she was all excited. It was before the movie even came out too, so we didn't even know what to expect. But she went up, she was talking to her. Everyone else, because you get an attractive comic book actress at a con, you're going to get the sweatpant crowd.
Of course,
nothing against the sweatpant crowd, but sometimes they don't. It's a comfort thing for them. So everyone's getting like their 10 seconds, like sign, thank you. And I'm telling them like, look, don't be surprised. This is not going to be like, tea hour.
Yeah.
There's 10,000 people behind us. The place was rammed to the gills. It was insane.
Of course.
They oversold her too. I was like, you're going to get like a second, say hi, dip out. She's okay. So she goes up and She loves her costumes, talking to her for like 5 minutes.
Nice.
So, my kid, even as a teen, she lights up.
Oh, yeah.
And then we went back in the afternoon, probably a good 9 hours later to do the photo op. And like I said, she'd pour through 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get to the cart, she goes, it's my buddy Athena. And everyone else has like a little X they have to stand on because she's like 2 months pregnant. She doesn't want anyone touching her.
Yeah.
Right, pulls her right next to her, arm over her.
Nice.
So she's an awesome person too, but it's like she really kind of embodies the whole Wonder Woman thing. So
That's awesome.
And it looks like with the Captain Marvel stuff, Brie Larson's going to do the same thing. Well, so it should be good.
It's tough to not assume that they've earned the presupposition that the movie's going to be quality. It's going to fit into this quality universe. I mean, it's kind of shocking how well they've pulled that off. Like, there's no world where it doesn't make money, but it would take a lot for you to go, you know what? What was the last disappointing Marvel Cinematic Universe outing?
Iron Man 3.
Right.
Age of Ultron.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But it still made over $1 billion.
It made a bunch of money, but nobody went to see it again.
I thought it sucked. So
that's one, if I'm traveling, the way I always gauge these things, and Sean, you're on the road a ton too.
Yeah, yep.
If I'm in the hotel room flipping through HBO, and I stumble on it and I don't stick around, then I didn't really care for it. Like, I don't think you've seen them yet, but the John Wicks?
Yeah.
So I'm Shawshanked. I'll watch the...
So
same here.
I haven't seen John Wick 2. I've only seen
hit
John
Ultron,
Wick.
and it's like, fucking Sarkovia, really?
Yeah.
No, I'm done.
We saw...
It's the Attack of the Clones of, it has a bunch of shit that I don't care about.
Attack of the Clones is my favorite prequel.
That's a whole separate discussion.
That's episode 17, we'll call it.
All right. But yeah, that's, but to be fair, that's years ago, and it's still a fun movie to watch. It just falls below the stream of movies is almost all cream.
Yeah. See, I mean, that one's tough because even like we saw Avengers 1 in the theater like 5 or 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
Ultron we saw once.
Yeah.
The most I've watched of it again is I watched the intro, that snow fight.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm completely disinterested. The whole thing with the Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch and the way they did that.
The snow fight, though, they gave you the one image in the trailer.
Yeah.
The shot of them all coming over the hill.
Yeah, that's the money shot.
And that was the money shot.
Yep.
You were done.
If I could buy that like on a clear cell with like a 3D box or something,
it was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I don't really like that one. But yeah. But anyway, I mean, it's going to make a ton of money. It's going to be good. I mean, you have the whole, and like I said, we all have daughters, so we know how it goes. The leading lady superhero thing, it's great. And it's good for the industry, and it's good for the business, and it's good for everything. And it's nice that there's not just all like,
I haven't had my daughters watch the trailer yet. I don't think they've seen it.
Have they seen, did they watch? No, did they watch Wonder Woman?
So, yes, I'm pretty sure they watched, I think we all went to Wonder Woman. Though I honestly don't remember.
Yeah. It's going to be different, though, because everyone, even if you don't do comics, you know Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Just like if you don't do wrestling, you know Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
You know the heavy hitters. You can see a picture of it and go, oh, yeah, it's Wonder Woman.
If anything, I think that's the genius of the Marvel Universe. They've been able to take these B characters like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, but that's 100%.
Black Panther.
That's 100%.
Now, Panther, I knew at least. I mean,
yeah, no, James Gunn blowing the crap out of Guardians of the Galaxy from the B character of B character groups, open doors. Open doors that will never be closed, at least in the Marvel world, but also has set the stage for, honestly, whether those characters existed before from a pop culture perspective actually was irrelevant at that point. He took characters that had no particular anchor in broad public psyche and just made a great, fun, amazing story.
Island of Misfit Toys.
So I heard that they've postponed or stopped production on Volume 3.
They completely shut it down at this point.
Which is, I'm sure they'll make it, but that whole mess will be interesting.
If they do, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a whole new cast.
So
but
we'll watch that with interest.
Yeah, but like I said, the trailer looks awesome, movie looks awesome. It's going to be fun. She is, if people don't know, like I said, I'm not saying I've read every Captain Marvel book. Athena does have, I think, the first 10. So she has like a Captain Marvel Carol Danvers #1 from like the 70s.
Oh, okay.
I got her one. Yeah, I got it at a con once. Talked the guy down from quite a bit, but it's not the greatest copy. It's probably like a 6.5 or whatever. But I got it for like $30, so it was nice. She has it and everything.
Nice.
But she's a heavy hitter. It's not like she's just like a pilot in a jumpsuit. She's got power. She shoots energy blasts. She flies. She's super strong. Little segue. I don't think it was the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel, because there's been a lot of Captain Marvels, and there's also Miss Marvels. Like right now you have a Captain Marvel and a Miss Marvel who's another character.
Okay.
It's kind of weird the way it works.
Is that
she's got different powers.
Kamala Khan?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But Rogue from X-Men actually got all her flight and super strength from holding on to Captain Marvel back in the day. That's how she can fly and how she's strong.
Holding on?
Yeah, because Rogue can't touch people.
Oh.
She grabbed a hold of Captain Marvel back in the day. That's how she can do all this stuff. So Anna Paquin never did, but real Rogue actually did. So
Interesting.
yeah, so Captain Marvel does. I mean, she rode very deep through the bloodlines, you could say, of the Marvel universe. Just a lot of people don't know who she is, which is like that with a lot of the galactic characters that they didn't make before.
Yep.
If you believe the interweb, she's going to be the central character in Avengers 4.
Yeah, I think she's
the key to come in and stopping.
Yep. Thanos. And the cool thing is, even after she's like, because obviously Thanos is going to get stopped and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But because of the way they did it, they can then go back and do her like 2 sequels and still have them set in the damn 90s for any of the stuff even happened.
Yeah. Yep.
They just be like, oh yeah, this happened too. Like the many adventures of Captain Marvel. So good for them.
Nice.
They'll take my money. They'll have it at least twice probably. Athena want to see it twice. So this is an idea Sean brought up. I think it was last time we recorded. We're going to talk about something that we're into that that definitely the other two aren't. A fan of something, but also maybe something that's not widely considered a popular fan thing. So like if you're into collecting I know a guy who's into collecting old like storage media and tape drives and stuff, or if you're an antiquer or you like sneakers or just something crazy like that. So do you guys want me to go first?
You go first.
Yeah, I think you need to go first. I kind of reframed and took away what I was thinking.
Okay. So so obviously I'm into damn near everything.
You keep talking. We're not listening to DJ because we're both trying to figure out something.
That's fine.
We're racking our brains.
I can talk. So I'm into multitudes of things, whether it's big Nintendo guy, Mega Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Transformers, I'm an 80s kid. Everything was sold to me through a TV with an action figure my whole life. My parents suck, so I was raised by a TV, so I'm into everything. If they made action figures for Silver Spoons, I would have owned them all. It's just the way it was. I know. And if we were doing this probably like a year, 18 months ago, I'd probably go with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
That was going to be my guess.
Yeah, 'cause I'm a huge part. But the thing is with that is that since they did the 25th anniversary and the new movie came out, it's acceptable now to be a Power Rangers guy. Even back when I was a kid, you couldn't tell the other kids you were a Power Rangers person.
Take a vote on whether that's true or not?
Well, so remember that that's where for people in my age range, like mid early 30s, with all the stuff that's come out recently, you realize that there's zillions of us. They have their own convention now, and the figures sell out everywhere, and so there's more of that. So I'm gonna go way off the grid.
Mid to early 30s. You realize we were getting laid by then, so we weren't.
Yeah, I like Power Rangers. I like Power Rangers.
I wasn't bringing my Power Rangers.
Oh man.
So I have a weird thing that I like. I'm wicked into any kind of, whether it's a movie or a TV show that's mockumentary style.
Okay.
So I am a huge mega fan of both like Parks and Recreation and all the Christopher Guest movies.
Okay.
And it drives my wife bonkers. If I'm cleaning the living room.
Does she just not get them?
She doesn't get it at all.
Heather doesn't either.
But like I could sit there and I could watch Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman and Mighty Wind and the new one Mascot. I could watch them on loop all day, every day.
What was the last one you mentioned?
Mascots, the new one on Netflix.
I havened seen it.
Oh, is it?
I haven't watched that one either.
Oh, it's a mascot competition.
That sounds
so
fun.
It doesn't have you. The cool thing about the Christopher Guest movies is, like I said, they're mockumentary style. They're dry as a bone.
Yep.
They're so fucking weird. But also, he uses like all his buddies in all the movies.
Yeah.
Kind of like some other guy we know who makes a lot of movies with all his friends.
He who shall not be named.
He who should not be named
on this particular episode.
But it's always like Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, Michael McKean, Harry Shearer from The Simpsons. Like all his, and they all play all these crazy, goofy characters. It started with, Christopher Guest started, he was a comedian, and he was on the one season of Saturday Night Live that almost got NBC canceled before Eddie Murphy showed up and saved everyone's ass.
Right.
And then he did Spinal Tap, which is probably the most well-known one.
And that's I don't know if it was the first mockumentary, but it's the one that changed everything for me because I remember seeing it. I don't remember when I saw it. It was probably on VHS, maybe in college. And I mean, the humor's hilarious. I played in a bunch of bands in college, so it's just damn good if you've ever played in a band. But yeah, that was a great starting point for, what's become a career of lots of things, but doing these has been great.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the gold standard too for like mockumentaries. Mm-hmm. And then he had the Best in Show with the dog one, which is probably my favorite. That one's great. And there was A Mighty Wind, which was a movie about a like PBS special for a guy who died who used to like produce folk singer albums in the 70s. Like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Yeah. But I've watched it probably 25, 30 times. He did one called like For Your Consideration. Mm-hmm. It's just basically shitting on how all these like little indie movies, like someone on the internet goes, they could win an Oscar, and all of a sudden it becomes this big thing and the movie ends up sucking and no one cares. It's just... So yeah, that carried into, I watched The Office. I love Parks and Recreation. I've probably seen I'm watching the season through again. I'm probably on my 15th time through all 9 seasons.
So I have never watched it, even though I know Ron Swanson. I know the characters and the production and all this different stuff. And I know I will love it. But in this era of binge watching and everything, plus not having a lot of time, I actually value having, it's always this present waiting for me. I know that
there's one you haven't touched.
It's one I haven't touched that I'm going to love. And I don't have that many of those things just sitting out there waiting.
The first season's a little slow because it's one of those just like 6 episodes, season 1, like pilot season. Yep. But once it gets going season 2, it's a glorious fucking present. Like Ron Swanson's probably top 3 TV characters of all time. Yeah. Amy Poehler, Massachusetts' own Amy Poehler, is hilarious. Aziz Ansari's in it. It's just, Fat Chris Pratt is in it.
Fat Chris
Before he got all Marvelized.
I like Chris Pratt.
Me too.
He was my favorite Chris.
Just some of the Chris Pratt bloopers from that show.
They're insane.
Are hilarious. Haven't seen the show, but I've seen
Yeah, and then, they ended up roping like Rob Lowe into it, and it's great, but it just feeds in the whole thing where I'll put them on. Like I said, all that stuff's on all the time, and she just doesn't get it. My daughter doesn't. No one else gets it. Like, I hide it because, I'll be at my buddy's house and be flipping through, HBO Go, and he goes, "It's a fucking movie about a dog show," and I'm like, "Oh, that looks stupid. Who would watch that?" And I'm like, "I've seen that movie 155 times." They did an animated series or or if he had a webisode thing, I'd be doing all that too. Mm-hmm. So that's probably like I said, I have all kinds of weird, goofy stuff I like. I like British TV shows and stuff too. And
like Fawlty Towers, those kind of things?
Are You Being Served at the mall? I used to watch that when I was 9 years old. I was watching on PBS, where it's no 9-year-old should be watching Are You Being Served? It just makes no sense.
The only British TV we had growing up was like Benny Hill or something.
Yeah, Benny Hill.
My ringtone is still that yakety sax. Yep.
Yeah. There's another one called Little Britain. It's these two. It's amazing. Yep. I've seen those 100 times. So I like very dry, oddball humor. Mm-hmm. And it goes into other stuff too, but it's mainly focused on on those Christopher
Guest Royal
movies.
Tenenbaums, those kind of things.
No, I don't like.
You don't like that?
I don't like that stuff. Nope. All that Steve Zissou underwater. No, none of that stuff.
Really?
Nope. Rushmore.
What's the director's
Oh my god,
name?
I loved Rushmore. Rushmore was Jason
Paul Thomas
Reitman.
Anderson.
Paul Thomas Anderson. Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
No, is it?
Magnolia fan?
Yeah, he didn't direct the.
No, Rushmore was Jason Reitman.
No,
I think so.
He wrote that.
Did he write it?
We're really shitty fans.
Well, I don't like them. That's why.
This is his fan thing. I don't have.
Yeah.
But this is something I don't like. This is not something I like that I don't know. I hate this shit. I remember. So when Royal Tenenbaums came out, I was working. I was in college. I was running the video store because I felt the need to work as a clerk in a video store for some weird reason. Some inspiration when I was younger.
Yeah, who knows?
I remember Royal Tenenbaums came out. We got 380 copies of it because we were considered an art house store because we were down near this local college that has a big artsy fartsy kind of apartment. And
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson movies suck. I don't like them. I can't get into it.
DJ's previous statement does not represent the entirety of the FANMEN podcast body of opinion.
No, of course, yeah. And if for some reason Wes Anderson's barber or someone ever hears this, I apologize to Wes Anderson. I don't like his shit, but he'll never hear it, so it doesn't matter.
You're allowed to not like it. That's okay.
So yeah, so I said I could have gone a zillion different cartoons, or like I'm a big South Park guy. Not a lot of people really show that anymore, and that's kind of popular. But I want to go kind of really off the wall.
That was more in the college, yeah.
But that's still
high school, college.
Yeah.
It's still acceptable.
Like I said, I could have talked about Power Rangers or Thundercats for an hour, but I decided to kind of mix it up a little bit.
See, this all falls in that like time period after we were young enough to have the toys and everything. We would go back to more like Star Wars. Maybe like He-Man was the outer.
Yeah, even then, I don't think
that was probably the end of it for.
I remember. I think I remember neighbor kids that I like babysat that were into He-Man.
Yeah,
more than
I was huge into.
It was my brother.
Yeah,
I was probably on the very tail end of that.
But the reason I'm into all that stuff, I think, is because, like I said, I was raised by television to start, but also, I'd get all the toys because most of these shows only lasted like a season, and then the next thing came along. So I go with my grandmother down to this store we used to have in Worcester called Spags.
I remember. God, I love Spags.
And you'd come up it was a weird, like, old-timey department store before Walmart's got big and everything like that.
You go up the ramp.
You go up the ramp through the lighting section.
Exactly.
You came down the ramp from the lighting section. There was action figure aisle.
Busted into toys.
Yep, and anything that was on, like, clearance would be in this giant bin. So I remember, like, one year for my birthday, they were on sale for like $1 or something like that, He-Man guys. So my grandparents got me they bought a new washer or dryer. So I had like a washing machine box stuffed to the gills with He-Man guys.
That's awesome.
Which looked like, oh my God, but it was only cost them like $200. And I was like the oldest grandkid, so I kind of got spoiled, but only for my grandparents. But so yeah, so like I said, I'm going with that one for, we can relive this one other day, and I'll go into some kind of toy thing or some weird comic character or something like that. But yeah, I'm going to go Christopher Guest movies and just horrible, dry comedy.
Nice.
That's not Wes Anderson.
That's not Wes Anderson.
Apologies to Wes Anderson.
You go, Chris, because I'm...
I'm struggling to come up. Mine was more... The original one was more in the comic vein, not
that's
so
okay.
much.
That's okay.
And the one thing that I know definitely from the two of you, I tend to focus a little more on the comic art, like original comic art, be it the Alex Ross sketches, pages from, or acquiring pieces from various artists. And it really doesn't even have to be, I like the bigger artists. Of course, those tend to be more expensive and unattainable, as we found out at Boston this year.
Even the no-name artists were unattainable.
It's getting pricier and pricier. Sean, you'll remember probably 4 or 5 years ago, whenever we went to our first Terrificon, you could go and get sketch covers for $25, $40. So there's literally shelves in my office that you guys haven't seen that are just 2 and 3 deep of sketch covers from whatever random guy happened to be free. Hey, here's a blank. Throw me an Incredible Hulk. Throw me a Batgirl. Whatever the hell happened to pop into my head. So I'm just a big fan of original artwork. Not necessarily... I mean, I'd very much like to have a Jim Lee or one of those, but some of those, I mean, I'm fortunate enough, Heather was very nice to me on my 40th and got me 3 Alex Rosses.
Yeah. I got to see those before you did.
Sean, you were integral in actually picking them. And I still don't know exactly what, so backstory, Heather was working with Sean to try to figure out what to get me for my 40th. She had found the Alex Ross site, showed Sean the pages that had all the originals, and she was targeting like a certain price range. And she'd originally, I still don't know what it was, picked a different piece. There was one that the two of them had found out. She was working with the guy to buy. Come to find out, whatever that piece was sold before it shipped. Wires got crossed. He couldn't send that particular one. Do you remember what it was?
I don't, because I think I ran into Heather when she was working through what to do in the wake of that. And of course you didn't know. And I looked over things with her and I was like, what she ultimately got you. I'm like, this is fantastic, because it's not just great art. It captured, it kind of
captured
like
my
process
fandom.
And fandom. So you need to describe it so that,
So what she chose in lieu of whatever she had picked originally was a Batman character study. So the shot of Batman from the left, from the right, looking down, looking up, one whole page of that. Alex Ross's art dealer felt so bad because of the screw up that he gave her the character studies of the entire Trinity. So when the package came, she opens it up. There's 2 autographed San Diego Comic-Con art books and the 3 original sketches. And Batman, Superman.
They're like
Wonder Woman.
They're like 8.5 by 11 or something, 8 by 10s or something
fairly
like that.
good size.
But
there's got to be a dozen.
They're
sketches
raw,
of each character.
pencil, beautiful.
They're on the wall
character
upstairs.
studies. Yeah, I saw them earlier.
So it was one of those things. She was planning on spending something like $1,000, $1,500 on one, and he gave her 3 that would have been $1,500 a piece.
Yeah,
that's insane. See, and that counts because it's not. I mean, a lot of people collect comics. A lot of people collect, but art prints. But no, a lot of people collect original artwork just because, like, you can't swing it, or you're scared to get into it, or something.
Yep. That's something we just talked about with the Chris Dominguez stick.
Yeah,
there's certain pieces that I always loved his Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. So when the watercolor popped up, I grabbed the watercolor. I'll try to get Chrissy to do sketches for Harley. And that's something, hopefully she doesn't like it as much as I do, but something that Harley's kind of taking to already as well.
Yeah.
So I got to ask is the Trinity framed yet?
The Trinity is framed. They're all individually framed.
Okay, I was going to ask if you went trips or if you went
nope, individually framed.
Individually framed. And is it matted in kind of the
each
superhero
matted in the color of the superhero? So there's a black and yellow matte, the
blue and
red and yellow on Wonder Woman, and then the blue and red on Superman.
I think so. Yeah, you should check them out.
Yeah, you'll have to check them out after.
Yeah, fantastic stuff.
Alex Ross is amazing. Like,
I noticed your signed and numbered print of one of the Han Solo covers that I love, the Han and Chewie.
That came from the one year that I went to San Diego.
Yeah.
It was a Star Wars Celebration print that he happened to have a handful of them left over and brought to the con in San Diego.
I love that thing. I absolutely love that thing.
As you walk around the house, you'll see more Alex Ross than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, your art collection is very impressive.
The big thing for me there is, I mean, I love that stuff. Certainly the expense of it is not something that makes it a good match for things I would normally spend money on. But also, I just don't have, like, I have a ton of flat art prints, sketches that I don't, they're piled up on a shelf because I literally don't have a place to put them. And when we were at Terrificon, I think it was like 4 years ago, there was in the run of the New 52, the 52nd issues had, I don't know if it was all the same artists from the number 1 doing a self-homage of the number 1 covers from New 52.
Something like that.
I don't know if it was self-homage or not, but the Wonder Woman issue 52 was a David Finch cover of, a redo of his cover number 1 or whatever. It's fantastic. And the original cover art was there. And I think it was only like $200, but it's a giant, what is that, 13 by 17 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, giant. And, $200, it's a lot of money. At the same time, this is real physical ink of a cover that I actually really loved. I got a bunch of copies of it and the original one and every one in between. And I only was flipping through it while walking around with Chris. And I generally have avoided looking at that stuff because it's both impossible to buy and store. But I came really close, and the guy who was selling it was, loving it because it's just like, shooting fish in a barrel when you have stuff that's just so awesome.
No, I'm certainly one of those people that likes to surround myself with things that I like looking at. I mean,
that's why DJ and I are sitting here.
Yeah, it's certain things I don't have enough wall space.
And you still have more wall space than most people because of how you have things set up.
That's how the basement happened, because I needed more walls. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't have
just places to hang stuff.
I don't have nearly enough wall space. Or the other two is like, as because you have getting stuff framed is a budgetary nightmare.
Yeah.
It is. It's
you got to pick your stuff carefully.
You pick and choose, and you pick and choose when you're going to do it. And when you can get frames from Pottery Barn and do it that way.
Yeah,
that way.
AC Moore coupons.
Exactly. Michael's, whatever you can.
Yeah.
So certainly a long-term interest of mine is kind of media production gadgetry. I had, in high school, my favorite summer job was, working show productions at an amusement park, playing with mixing boards and doing live sound and sound effects and all these different things. And I was doing video editing and audio editing, when it was a lot harder than it is now. So I always buy a lot of gear. I still have basically an entire recording studio worth of crap in my back garage that has been sitting there providing fodder for my wife to get mad at me for 20 years. But that's not really fandom as much as it's hoarding. But no, I do. Well, so it actually has a modern form. On my iPad right now, I have a whole lot of different music production apps. I spent $50 a couple weeks ago on an app called Aria, Auria, which is basically a pretty powerful digital multi-track, audio recording thing, right? It's I mean, GarageBand's pretty good, but this is something closer to the stuff that I spent tens of thousands of dollars putting together, a recording studio to do. And now I'm just like, spend $50. It appears here. I was, able to do a little acapella multi-track, just displaying showing my daughter kind of how this stuff works. And just having all these apps and stuff, I don't really do anything with them, but I still have this constant desire to, maybe it's a guy who collects a lot of cars that doesn't actually drive them. That's what it feels like. Yeah. That doesn't really count. That's not fandom.
That's you're a fan of audio equipment, and it's a hobby. I mean, people collect old speakers and old instruments and stuff. It's the same kind of.
Well, no, it's very core. It just shows you're a collector at heart.
Yes,
it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I think I'm not as in tune to yours. I get a pretty good feel for you that it doesn't matter as the interests swing. You're still a big collector as the interests go. One doesn't necessarily completely get put to the side. The sights may be put on something else, and you're going down that avenue.
There's some kind of a completionist pull or an aggregation pull. You have one, you're like, what I like about this, or you find something, this is cool, and then you see something else that relates to it, and you're like, oh, I love this. It is cooler if I have both of these things instead of just the one. And then, I found this really cool cover. Well, it sucks to just have issue number 3, right? I mean, don't you want to have 1 and 2?
Entire run.
Oh, this run went until 573. I ended up, right? I like Wonder Woman. I like the George Perez Wonder Woman thing, before the run up to the Wonder Woman movie, I started looking at some stuff
we both
and
jumped into.
Picked up a few copies of, the 1987 Wonder Woman Volume 2, number 1 that weren't, those were.
God bless Friendly Neighborhood Comics, $5 in the back.
Yeah. I have like
they had piles of them
because it wasn't. It was a relatively mass produced comic, but not that much. Not like a lot of the Marvel crap.
And the art was good, but like some of those old DC stories, everything, all the stuff in there was bland.
I was buying it for Perez.
But but I bought the number 1, and then while kind of looking through those runs, certainly Chris and I are a fan of Adam Hughes covers, Adam Hughes arts, and that was during a time where he did a lot of great Wonder Woman covers and Catwoman covers and stuff like that, and so I'm like, well. He was doing covers in like the issue 80 through issue, 130 or something like that. So, well, I'll pick those up because those are really cool. And then I went by Rubber Chicken Comics, which is down in, where's that? Bellingham, yeah. And they had, most of the first, several years of that run for Wonder Woman in great shape for pretty cheap. So I picked those up. And once you start, if you actually catalog and collect things. Now I have a full run of Wonder Woman Volume 2, and then once I had that, I couldn't afford to go back through Volume 1, but the volume after that was pretty easy to pick up, and then and so now great, I've got a Wonder Woman run that's complete back to 1987, even though I'm not.
You're not the hugest.
I'm not the hugest Wonder Woman fan. Same thing happened with Flash. I started watching the Flash TV show. I'm like, you know what? I really like this. And so, the new 52 Flash, I'm not going to go beyond Flash. And so I didn't. But now I've got Flash back through, 2011. Yes, I have a collector problem that's more about the collection action than anything else.
So that's clearly what it is.
Yeah.
And it tied into all your old audio stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not something that everyone does, so it's kind of off the wall.
So that is something when I travel, and sometimes I make my wife go through it, but usually it's just me traveling. I do like to poke into thrift stores or antique stores, stuff like that. And specifically, even though I would almost never buy anything, I like looking at old audio equipment, looking at, some of my favorite pictures I took while traveling were the back panels of 1970s receivers. Just a bunch of RCA plugs and some tubes and, just because that level, I mean, everything is, I have the best recording studio, in my entire life, both on my phone and on my iPad sitting right here. But there's something antiseptic about it because the things when I wire a channel to an instrument or something, I'm doing it with, pixels on the screen and my finger instead of, I wired and soldered a patch bay in my old studio. A patch bay is a bunch of things that look like 1/4 inch, thick headphone jacks. And, I had, 192 holes there. And if you plugged something into them, it went one way. But if you pulled it out halfway, it went a different way. And if you pulled it out all the way, and then it defaulted to, the normal patch bay stuff, but something that nobody gives a shit about, but is this physical way that you move things around every recording studio until all of a sudden it's all digital and that stuff starts to go away.
But some people might say that the stuff you have sounds better than, vinyl's coming back big. Some people like that old stuff.
Those people are wrong, right?
Well,
right.
You may appreciate the grittiness of the old recordings.
Yeah. There's character.
The pops.
There's character. There's, and there's lots of warmth and analog character, and you can make obviously fantastic recordings. But if you have good equipment and you have a great digital back end, you can still.
There's no soul in digital.
That's bullshit. It's not about the tools. The soul is about the soul, and the tools are about the tools. But all right, so it's not quite,
No, it's in there. We still.
I will say it's not as embarrassing as Power Ranger fanhood, though.
We'll get to that in another.
I'm just giving you shit.
In that time period where you're getting into that big time, a little younger than we are.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is, 92? Batman the Animated Series came out?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which reinforced we would have had free time in college to be sitting there watching these things. I did.
I didn't, yeah.
Well, that's because you went to a real school.
Yeah.
But I think I was being pulled more back into the comics at that time and away from the cartoons. And the fact that they gave me a comic of my favorite cartoon of my favorite character, it kind of pulled us
I remember
back in that direction.
I remember around that time, I can't remember what was The Dark Knight Returns. When did The Killing Joke came out? Was it around that same time or later? I think that might have been later.
I think it was later.
It was later.
Yeah, I remember. So at in our student center there was a Newberry Comics, and I was into CDs, not comics at that point. At the same time, the pull of the graphic novels. I think I bought Dark Knight Returns then. I didn't buy Watchmen. I never read Watchmen until many, many years later. But
that was already into a trade by the time.
It was a trade then. Yeah.
I think if I remember, that one went trade pretty quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
Killing Joke was 88. It was before Batman.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. But once animated series came out, I think the because you had the Michael Keaton Batman 89,
Yes.
89.
Then you had Returns in 91.
Yes.
And then the animated series came out, and then
92 was the animated
Batman
series.
was big again. So we'll do another episode on Batman one day. We'll do a whole one on just Batman. So we're gonna do our top 3 for the day. So in honor of the Captain Marvel trail, we're going top 3 female superhero characters, just good guys.
Okay. I'm not sure I can name that many, but
okay.
We're gonna exclude the big ones.
No,
not in this time.
For this one, we're gonna go just whatever.
Then I'm good. All right.
Okay. Sean, what do you got for number 3?
Number 3.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. So I'm gonna say Michonne from The Walking Dead.
It counts.
Right. She's I'm a Walking Dead fan. Been reading the comics since I probably didn't start until issue 100 or so, but started back at 1 once at that point. And Michonne's just a badass who walks around with 2 zombies with their arms and jaws cut off so they can't threaten her on chains while she wields a samurai. I mean, that's just...
visually, she's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. So there.
There we go. That's a good one.
And in the TV series, she's pretty bad.
Yeah. Number 3 for me would be Black Canary.
Ah.
I was always a big Canary fan, stemming more from the Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Reading that whole Green Arrow Canary run, definitely that, not some of the later or earlier incarnations. It was really that mid-'80s to
pre-wedding.
90s,
pre-married Ollie.
Exactly. Where they were kind of dating, but they were more the team. That incarnation, I just like that. Not so much the TV version either. They've tried to bring her into the Arrowverse, and the character works okay, but I'm sorry, and this will tie right into your Hughes. I'm picturing the Hughes Canary, the fishnets, the black one, cracking her knuckles with the Who's Next.
Yep, there you go.
That from that era. So that would be 3.
I was on the fence with 3, and Black Canary was like my 3B. Because same reason, especially in not so much in the TV shows, but like in the animated stuff, she's good in Unlimited. In Young Justice, she's awesome because she's like the hand-to-hand combat trainer, and in like the new Injustice game, she's my best character. But I went Wonder Woman. I copped out. I went easy. So I cut my teeth on all the live action stuff back in the day in Super Friends. So Wonder Woman was part of Super Friends.
Yeah,
Linda Carter was big for me. I raised my daughter Linda Carter. So she's already ripped through the entire series twice, I think, on the DC app already. She loves it. She has all the DVD. She loves it. I love the movie. Her books weren't the best, so I didn't read a lot of the Wonder Woman books. But she's one of like I said, she's one of the Holy Trinity. So I went cheesy, went Wonder Woman.
That works.
2.
All right, number 2. I'm gonna go with. I keep going back and forth. Batwoman. I don't have a lot of depth of history and knowledge of Batwoman. In my run of Detective Comics and collecting Detective Comics, she features a lot and a lot of the cover artwork through some interesting series of that. But I first read actual Batwoman issues in the New 52 run, and so I don't know much about the character in the past or whatever, but the fact that she's going to be making appearances in Arrow, in the Arrowverse,
she'll be there in the crossover.
It's something I'm looking forward to. There's interesting stuff about she's lesbian and all that stuff. She's a cop, right? Isn't she?
I think one iteration she was a cop, one she's ex-military.
Yeah. So I can't remember which one is which, but both those things for me, right? I like the hard edge to the character. I like some of the relationship. I forget who she was in a relationship with in the New 52 run. Was the
Montoya?
Yeah, the detective Montoya.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So she's definitely something that has been on my mind with the upcoming, appearance in the show. Is that the coming season?
It is this coming season.
It is. It'll be
it's not going to be right up.
Yeah, Christmas time.
It's going to be right around Christmas.
Mid-season finale-ish. And
I think their Legends are not going to be part of the crossover.
I don't think so.
Bringing Batwoman in and spinning her off into her own series.
Yeah. So you're ahead of the curve whatever the question is, because she's going to blow up as a character. So
it'd be interesting because for a character named Batwoman, they've cast a young person, right? I mean,
well, she was never that old. If I remember correctly, the New 52, her dad was like a general who was like high promise in Gotham. So she's the same age as Dick Grayson.
Oh,
because when Bruce Wayne would throw a function, she'd run around with Dick Grayson when he was younger.
Okay,
if I remember correctly, she's right around Dick's age.
So I think her is older than Batgirl, but older than Batgirl, could just be because of the name.
So age-wise, Ruby Rose fits.
Yeah, definitely fits.
Okay,
yeah, definitely fits.
Looking forward to that.
Cool. Shall we go for 2?
My number 2, going a little off the grid, I'm going to go with Raven.
I didn't even think of that one. That's a good one.
She kind of walks that line. Mainly a hero with the Titans. And I think it's just, for a lot of the reasons you're talking about, Batwoman, the depth of the character, that internal conflict, daughter of the demon, that whole constantly fighting against herself. And the girl's just a badass. Just visually, you get some of the best images coming out of that Titans run, and it probably harkens back to cutting my teeth on early Prez stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, grew up, it was either Batman and the Outsiders or Titans. So you kind of worked your way through, and this could be skewed a little bit, and we'll talk about this in future episodes, by the images that I'm seeing coming out of the Titans TV show. And it seems like they are taking her, I've always loved the character, and now it's Raven meets The Exorcist. meets
Hereditary.
It's going to be insane.
Yeah.
So it just kind of reinforced, and actually went back and reread some of those Titans runs after. Don't want to ruin anything for the next episode, so I'll cut it there.
Yeah. So my number 2 actually is a lot of the same reasons that Chris is so into Raven. I picked Rogue from X-Men.
Oh, okay.
Same thing, a lot of the inner turmoil, the whole, her powers are truly a curse. A lot of the mutant characters don't like their powers, but hers, I mean, she can't touch another human being. Plus, when the 91 X-Men came back, the way Jim Lee drew her, she was awesome looking. She can fly. She can juggle cars. She could take Juggernaut and pick him up and throw him, which was kind of cool, And then when the cartoon started, the animated series started, the whole line with her and Gambit with the Roman stuff was really interesting and just a cool character. And then even when they changed her costume later on, she was cool. She's my favorite character in X-Men Evolution. So, I mean, I could do a whole top 3 list of just X-Men characters.
Mm-hmm.
With the female characters, I think Marvel actually has DC kind of rope because there's so many cool female X-Men, Phoenix and Storm and all that stuff. But if I had to pick my favorite, I'd probably go Rogue.
All right. So we're down to number 1s.
Numero uno.
Numero uno. So this one's weird for me because my history of the character in the comics is literally 0. Jessica Jones. I don't watch Jessica Jones without Netflix's Daredevil being what it was, right? I'm a Daredevil fan, love a certain writers, running Daredevil. But that season, plus the Marvel Cinematic Universe success of storytelling, made me go, okay, I'm going to watch this. I have no idea who this Jessica Jones thing is. Plus, Kristen Ritter, the actress, in Breaking Bad was a favorite, minor character there, and I think I'd seen her elsewhere as well. But I don't know jack about the character in Alias and the comics and all that stuff. But talk about tortured soul, immense power, but a lot of complication.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, she's an investigator. I love detective shit. So
she's an asshole too.
Yeah. and so,
she says everything that you'd want to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No filter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And definitely part of my love for that character in recent years is also, that first season had a villain, with Kilgrave, the purple dude. I mean, that season by itself, stands very, very high in an era of lots of awesome media. Was just awesome.
I mean, it comes down to that conflicted soul.
Mm-hmm.
Like, pardon the French, but the more fucked up the character, the more interesting it is story-wise.
I mean,
and to see her fighting against
I am
herself.
Jessica Jones without the powers, right?
There you go, yeah.
I'm just a conflicted asshole.
You have the scarf, right?
You look just as good in the skinny jeans.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I mean, she's an interesting one because a lot of people are into her now. You see girls dressing up for comic conventions. Actually, your daughter was this last one. But
she was.
The Alias, I read the Alias digitally, and it's captivating. The earlier stuff with her, it's lame. Like, her character sucked before the Alias stuff. She had this weird, sparkly costume and stuff. But
what was her first appearance?
Oh, jeez, it goes back. She was called something else before they called her just Jessica Jones. I can't remember.
Her first solo appearance was Alias 1, wasn't it?
I don't know. Yeah. That's what I thought.
But. Yeah, they revamped her. But anyway, yeah. So,
okay.
So the Alias stuff's awesome, and then she's another one, kind of Captain Marvel, where they could pull her in the movies because she's got deep roots. Like, her and Luke Cage have a kid in the books, and her daughter becomes Captain America.
Spoilers, dude.
Happened years ago.
Again, if it happened more than a month ago.
Yeah, so there was one run in time when I think it was when Steve Rogers got old again, and Falcon gave up the mantle, and Bucky gave up the mantle. So Jessica Jones and Luke Cage's daughter became Captain America.
God bless comics. When Captain America
they have a daughter?
Again.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, and she can thrash too.
It was Alias 1.
It was Alias 1, yeah. I forget what they called her before Jessica Jones. She looked kind of like Dazzler.
She did.
Oh, really?
It was like a white bodysuit with black trim, and she could fly.
It
was weird.
Yeah.
She had a whole set
so
of
my number 1 is Kristen Ritter, Netflix.
Yes,
that's
a cool one.
PI.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
So my number 1, it's funny, I actually had Jessica Jones shortlisted and replaced with Raven.
Oh, okay. All right.
Last second there. But for a lot of the same reasons.
Yep.
That tortured soul. My number 1, I'm actually going a little off script, and it kind of ties back into some of the TV shows we've seen. Supergirl.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I love the character of Supergirl. It's everything I hate about Superman, the holier than thou Boy Scout,
Yeah.
I don't find as annoying with her. It's like the coming of age, screwing up, learning her powers, trying to do. I mean, you have whole story.
I had a crush on Helen Slater from Secret of My Success.
Oh yeah, the horrible Supergirl movie with the carousel at the end.
I don't remember anything about that movie. I just know at that point I had a crush on Helen Slater, and so
she came back as Supergirl's mom.
Yeah, she was the mom on the TV show.
Yeah. Yep. Dean Cain. But no, it's again the coming of age kind of thing, where she has all of the good that Superman has and no clue how to use it at the beginning, just kind of finding herself. So then just all powerful, all positive person who can't get out of her own way sometimes.
It's a good one. So much like my number 3, number 1's probably like a cop out, but I'm going Batgirl. It's
not a cop out.
Not like Stephanie Brown or anything. It's Barbara Gordon Batgirl, OG Batgirl. Like I talked with Wonder Woman, my whole gateway to everything when I was a kid was Christopher Reeve and Adam West. So I would, I come home from school and I turn on Batman, and when that friggin' motorcycle went passing by, it's like featuring Yvonne Craig, I was like, fuck yeah, Batgirl episode. So, and she's kind of like Batman. I like I don't know why, like I like the characters that move faster for some reason. Like so she was like Batman a little bit faster, and I always liked the costume. I always liked when a Batgirl toy would come out, I have to go chase her down because the girl toys were always the hardest to find. Later on, like in the Injustice game, she's my favorite character. But yeah, so I'm just going Batgirl. She's awesome.
I was just double checking to make sure I'm right. So her first appearance in Detective Comics 359, which is what year was that? January 1967, is one of the few issues, since the early 60s of Detective Comics that I don't have. It's a $1,000 book in most conditions, over $2,000 if I actually hunted down.
I've owned that book for 27 years.
Bastard. Graded raw. Just raw. Yeah. I mean, I just need a reader copy. I haven't tried to find one. It's the type of one that I would rather buy in person than eBay or whatever.
Yeah, you want to hold that.
It's going to be one you buy at a con.
That's one that
you go to Metropolis in New York or something.
Yeah, and you just have to be flipping through, and all of a sudden you turn, and it's there, and like the clouds part, and the light shines down, and you're like, oh, my book.
Yeah,
that's one of the few comics I have that made it through my comic book collection destruction that we'll talk about one of these days. It's a sore subject, so I don't have to bring it up. Okay, so that was for Sean. It was Michonne. It was Batwoman and Jessica Jones.
Correct.
Chris, you went with, who's your number 3 again?
You don't even remember?
We brought up so many. We're going to Chris's reverse. Chris's was Supergirl number 1, Raven number 2.
My number 3 was on your short list.
Oh yeah,
Black Canary.
That's right.
Sorry.
And what was yours?
And I went Wonder Woman because I have no imagination.
Yeah.
Rogue from X-Men.
Yeah.
Or you might be able to actually sub out Jubilee. They're like 2A, 2B.
Yeah.
Even though Jubilee does nothing. And Barbara Gordon, Batgirl.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us this week for the FANMEN podcast. If you want to hit us up on Twitter, it's at FMen37.
At Chris Davis _37.
At Vacaboca, VACABOCA.
Or at Deidrenaut if you want to get me directly. And thank you very much.